Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Black Friday. Hopefully you missed the craziness outside there and are home nice sitting by the fireplace. But whenever you happen to hear this devotional, it's either going to set the tone for your day or perhaps help heal your day after some shopping madness. But the topic is the focal point of spiritual power. Galatians 6:14. Except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. So another way to title this is, what is the focal point of spiritual power? And the easiest way to answer that is in that verse from Galatians, and the cross of Jesus Christ. Now Chambers says this: if you want to know the power of God, that is the resurrection life of Jesus in your human flesh, you must dwell on the tragedy of God, or in that tragedy of the cross there, right, is what he's referring to. Break away from your personal concern over your own spiritual condition, and with a completely open spirit, consider the tragedy of God. Instantly, the power of God will be in you. Isaiah 45:12, look to me, which is a reference to Christ suffering, the suffering servant, right, prophesied in Isaiah. Pay attention to the external source, and the internal power will be there. We lose power because we don't focus on the right thing. The effect of the cross is salvation, sanctification, healing, etc. But we are not to preach any of these. We are to preach Jesus Christ and Him crucified. 1 Corinthians 2:2. The proclaiming of Jesus Christ will do its own work. So as we think about that, I was trying to really hone in and make sense of what exactly Chambers means to look to the cross or look to the tragedy of God, right? Both of those are synonymous, I think, of looking to the cross, look to what happened there, look to these things outside of ourselves if we want to truly spiritually grow. And then he gives, I think, a quote in there that helped me kind of understand, I think, where he was really going with this. A little bit later on, he says this: in holiness movements and spiritual experience meetings, the focus tends to be put not on the cross of Christ, but on the effects of the cross. So if I can hone this in for you guys. Remember, he's writing here about 100 years ago. And so what you have is a reaction by many who see the church as a little bit dull, a little bit just not taking themselves seriously, not taking spirituality seriously. And so you have the Wesleyan revivalist meetings, you have the Pentecostals on another side, both giving an answer to how you can be holy, how you personally can have the power of the Spirit in you, how you could personally walk like Jesus and be holy like Jesus and not sin anymore and remove temptation from your mind and just have this experience with God, okay? And in the first part, Chambers addresses perhaps what leads to the church not having the power of God. And so he's saying we focus on the wrong things. We're focused on ourselves. Why do I have wrong thoughts? Why do I have words that come out that I don't want to say? Why do I have emotions that I don't want to have, right? So rather than look within, we focus our mind and our sight on the cross of Christ, and with all its meaning there. And that's why we continue to study Christ, His life, the work on the cross. We remember what He did for us, and as we put our mind to Christ and what He did for us, it helps us hone in on what we need to do. Again, that's my explanation of what he's saying there, but I think that's what he's getting at. So rather than focus on, man, I'm not doing good enough, right? And getting self-absorbed, we continue to look to Christ. And on the flip side, I think he's then saying, it might seem this is what the holiness movements are doing, or that the Pentecostal movements are doing. But they're not doing that. They're not looking to Christ. They're looking to the effects of the cross. They're looking for the blessings of God, the power of the Spirit, right? All these things which aren't bad, but they're not looking to Christ. They're looking for the effects of Christ. So there's a warning on both sides, right? Those that would just look inwardly and navel gaze, as sometimes is said, they're looking at their own life. No, look to Christ. And likewise, those who seem like they're looking to Christ and living this full Christian experience, he's saying you still need to be careful that you're looking to Christ and not to the experience that comes about, because that's going to fade and dissipate, as many of you might have known personally or known people in that way. Let me read one last paragraph here. The feebleness of the church is being criticized today, Chambers says, and the criticism is justified. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning there. One reason for the feebleness is that there has not been this focus on the true center of spiritual power. We have not dwelt enough on the tragedy of Calvary or on the meaning of redemption. So let's remember, let's focus our morning to think of the meaning of redemption on the cross of Calvary, on Jesus Christ and Him crucified. And maybe in some way that'll speak to you and to your situation this morning. Blessings. We'll see you tomorrow.